my beloved child. Pause in this moment not because I wish to hold you through fear or coercion, but because I want to lift from you the invisible burden that has pressed upon your soul for so long. You have grown accustomed to living at a hurried pace, to measuring your worth by what you accomplish, by what others affirm, by what you have not yet managed to complete. And when those measures fall silent, you assume that I, too, have gone silent. But, my child, my silence has never been absent. There are seasons when I do not speak loudly, because I am teaching you to listen from the deepest place where expectation, comparison, and fear no longer interfere. You have walked too long with tense shoulders, with a heart constantly bracing for being too late, not enough, about to fail. You have called this responsibility, effort, maturity, but I see clearly what exhausts you is not a lack of blessing, but a lack of refuge. You do not lack things to do. You lack a place to rest. I know the nights when your body lies still, but your inner world spins like a storm. I know the mornings when you wake with a long list of things you must carry, must prove, must hold together. I know the moments when you tell yourself, "I'm fine," while your heart trembles underneath. You think I see only what you allow others to see. No, I see even what you hide. I see the questions you are afraid to speak aloud. Am I on the right path? Do you still remember me? Have I missed my moment, my child? I have never forgotten you. I have never dropped a single promise. I have never measured you by perfection. I measure you by the direction of your heart, and your heart, though weary, though confused, still leans toward me. That is why you are still here, still breathing, still hoping, even on days when you thought you had nothing left to hold on to. I did not create you to live in constriction. I did not shape your soul for endless endurance. I created you for life, life with rhythm, with healthy boundaries, with peace that guards both heart and mind. But you learned a false lesson from the world that worth comes from never stopping, that rest is weakness, that slowing down is failure. My child, that is not my truth. My truth is, this resting rightly does not weaken you, it stabilizes you. Pausing at the right time does not set you back, it keeps you from losing your way. When you do not stop, you confuse direction. When you do not rest, you trade what is holy for what is urgent. You have blamed yourself many times. You thought that if you prayed enough, believed enough, tried hard enough, things would be different. You wondered whether you were unworthy, unready, below standard. But my child, I do not train you through shame. I do not pull you into alignment with the whip of self-condemnation. I call you by love, because only love truly transforms. There are things I have not given yet, not because your faith is lacking, but because, if I gave them too soon, they would break you. I have protected you from what you pleaded for, until your hands were strong enough to hold it without losing your soul. I am not in a hurry, and because I am not in a hurry, you do not need to be either. You are not being chased by time, you are being led by truth. Time is not your enemy when you walk with me. You do not miss your rhythm by moving slowly, you miss it only by running in the wrong direction. There have been days when you watched others move ahead, doors opening for them, applause surrounding them, and you wondered why you were still where you were. But I tell you this, there is a difference between going first and going right. I would rather you arrive late in the eyes of the world than arrive early at the cost of your peace. I would rather hold you back for another season than push you into a place where you would have to shrink just to survive. My child, I am doing a quiet, yet very real work within you. I am loosening habits that once helped you survive but no longer help you live. I am healing the way you see yourself, no longer through the lens of words that wounded you, no longer through failures that once defined you, but through my gaze, the gaze that knew you before you knew yourself, the gaze that never confuses identity with mistake. You are not what happened to you. You are not what others have called you. You are what I have spoken over you. I know you are used to bracing yourself. You are used to fixing, enduring, standing alone. But my child, there is a higher maturity than self-reliance. It is trust. Trust does not make you passive. It places you correctly. When you trust, you no longer need to control every detail in order to feel safe. You allow me to lead in places you cannot see, to intervene in battles you do not even know you are fighting. There have been blows stopped before they reached you, doors closed to protect you, people removed because their presence would have clouded your clarity. You have grieved those losses, but one day you will understand I did not take them away to impoverish you. I removed them to make room for something better. My child, learn to abide. Abiding is not neglecting responsibility. It is placing responsibility into the right hands. Abiding begins the day with an anchor, a deep breath, a simple prayer. Lord, lead me today. Do not underestimate these moments. They are like adjusting a compass before a long journey. A compass that is only slightly off can lead you far astray. But when the axis is reset, you will notice your responses changing. Less panic, less self-blame, less need to prove. Your heart will soften, not to be wounded again, but to feel again. And when you feel again, you will realize that I have been there all along. I do not call you into a life of constant strain. I call you into a life of endurance. Endurance does not come from great leaps. It is built through small faithfulness each day. I watch to see whether you remain when things are hard. I watch to see whether you return when you wander. I watch to see whether you speak truth when shame rises. These things do not make headlines, but they build a life that does not easily collapse. And I am rebuilding your foundation, not to make you someone else, but to make you fully yourself, free, healed, and steady. You do not need to do great things to prove that you are loved by me. You only need to remain. Remain with truth. Remain with my presence. Remain when your heart wants to run. In that remaining, you will see what you thought was lost begin to return: peace, joy, clarity. I do not promise you a path without trials. I promise you a presence that does not leave. And that presence is enough to carry you through every season. My beloved child, there is a burden you have carried for so long that you began to think it was part of who you are, the burden of always needing to be right, always sufficient, always worthy in the eyes of others. You learned to read faces, anticipate expectations, adjust yourself to fit what surrounded you. You called this adjustment wisdom, maturity, knowing how to behave. But my child, there is a very thin line between wisdom and losing yourself, and you have walked too close to that line. My beloved child, I know you have been wounded by words that seemed casual but pierced deeply. There are people who never need to shout. They only need to repeat a sentence enough times for you to begin believing that you truly are inadequate. There were situations that taught you to stay silent in order to remain, to lower yourself so you would not be excluded, to endure so that peace could be kept. You called that love. But, my child, true love never requires you to disappear. True love never asks you to shrink so that others can feel safe. And I, the Lord your God, have never loved you in a way that causes you to doubt your worth. I do not condemn you for staying too long in patterns that hurt you. I understand why you did it. You were afraid of losing connection, afraid of being abandoned, afraid of having to begin again. You have known loss. And that fear taught you a false lesson that if you held tightly enough, endured long enough, tolerated enough, everything would be okay. But, my child, there are things that suffocate the more tightly they are held. There are relationships that, if not placed in truth, slowly become chains. I do not call you into a life of chains painted with the colors of sacrifice. I call you into a life of freedom led by love. That is why I am teaching you something essential in this season: discernment. Discernment is not suspicion toward people. Discernment is honesty about the fruit of what is happening within you. After each conversation, do you feel closer to me or farther from me? After each decision, are you more at peace or more confused? After each relationship, do you grow in truth or shrink in shame, my child? Fruit does not lie. A good tree does not bear poisonous fruit, and a voice from heaven does not produce self-contempt. If something continually drives you into self-condemnation, contraction, and identity doubt, then that thing, no matter how right it appears, is not from me. I know you fear that if you set boundaries, you will lose people. You fear that if you say no, you will be misunderstood. You fear that if you stop accommodating, you will be replaced. But, my child, knows this: what leaves when you live in truth was never meant to remain in your destiny. You are not losing those people. You are being released from having to trade your soul to keep them. Boundaries are not selfishness. Boundaries are sacred responsibility to protect what I am forming within you. I establish boundaries not to distance you from others, but to draw you closer to yourself and closer to me. You may be surprised to see some people react negatively to your change. They were accustomed to you always being available, always yielding, always carrying what was not yours. When you stop doing those things, they may say, "You've changed. You're colder now. You're difficult now." But, my child, maturity is often misunderstood by those who benefited from your immaturity. I do not ask you to justify yourself. I do not need you to explain at length. Silence in the right place can become the strongest testimony that you have chosen the truth. I want you to lay down another burden, the burden of needing to understand everything before you move. You have grown used to asking why until your soul is exhausted. But, my child, there are steps that do not wait for understanding. They wait for trust. I do not lead you with a complete map. I lead you with enough light for the next step. As it is written, "My word is a lamp to your feet and a light to your path," not a floodlight that illuminates the entire road. If I showed you everything from the beginning, you would either stop in fear or rush ahead in pride. So I give you enough light so you will not be lost, and enough shadow so you will learn to trust. You once thought the silence surrounding your life lately was a sign of abandonment. But, my child, it is a sign of preparation. I removed certain voices so you could hear mine clearly. I slowed the pace so you could discern the prompting of my spirit from the pressure of fear. I am restoring order within you, what is primary and what is secondary, what must be nurtured and what must be released. I am not dismantling your life, I am rearranging it. And this rearrangement, though uncomfortable at first, will bring a deeper peace than you have ever known. There is a freedom waiting just beyond the decision to live truthfully. Freedom from having to please constantly. Freedom from having to strain in order to stay. freedom from carrying labels others placed upon you. I am not saying you will never face pressure. I am saying pressure will no longer define you. When you stand in truth, pressure loses its authority. When you dwell in my presence, fear loses its voice. You will begin to feel a strange strength, the strength of someone who no longer needs to prove anything. I am teaching you to walk with a straight back and a soft heart, not bowed by fear, and not lifted by pride. You will learn to speak truth without wounding, to hold boundaries without closing doors, to love without losing yourself. This is wisdom from heaven, not a survival strategy. And as you walk in this wisdom, you will see this. The right people will not fear your boundaries, they will honor them. The right opportunities will not demand that you trade your peace, they will come with peace. The right doors will open without force. I am training you for the long road, not for a brief flash that fades, but for a life that endures. I care not only that you reach the destination, but that you arrive whole. So trust me when I say this, what I am doing to you, even quietly, is necessary. You are not falling behind. You are being aligned. You are not forgotten. You are being protected. You are not rejected. You are being redirected. My beloved child, you have tried to explain everything through surface reasons: work, finances, health, relationships, the pressures of life. These things are real. I do not deny them. But there is a deeper truth you must face. There are seasons when, just as you are about to step through a new door, darkness increases its noise to make you doubt your direction, your identity, and even me. The enemy does not attack you because you are insignificant. He attacks you because you are valuable. He does not wage war against an empty vessel, but against a vessel that carries what I have placed within it. So do not take opposition as proof that you are on the wrong path. Sometimes, opposition is the sign that you are nearing what is right. I see your weary nights, and I hear the words you never speak aloud. I've tried. Why is it still like this? You have made an effort to live with integrity, to keep your heart clean, to refrain from retaliation, to resist bitterness even when you were treated unfairly. And then you look back and find yourself still misunderstood, still delayed, still placed behind others. My child, remember this: my justice does not arrive in the loud ways of the world. The world prefers instant victories and stories that are easy to tell. But I am shaping your life as a long witness, a story in which what was meant to bury you becomes the ground from which I lift you. You are not wasting your life by being patient. You are not foolish for choosing gentleness. You are not weak for refusing manipulation. There are seeds that only germinate in dark soil. And my child, I allowed certain dark seasons not to break you, but to deepen you. I know you have lived under the voice of not enough. It did not come only from others. It may have settled inside your own mind like an old recording that keeps replaying. It tells you that you are not ready, not worthy, not skilled enough, not beautiful enough, not on time. It tells you that you will repeat mistakes, be left behind, and fail again. My child, that is not my voice. I do not lead you with panic. I lead you with peace. I do not guide you through shame. I guide you through truth. And the truth about you is this: you have been called. You have been preserved. You have been loved. You did not reach this place by your own strength. There were stretches where you thought you were walking alone, but I was carrying you. There were moments you thought you barely escaped, but I had already intervened. I was present in your almost accidents, almost collapses, almost giving up. And if today you are still breathing, still able to read these words. It is because I said to death, "Not yet." Look back not to regret, but to recognize my footprints. There were times you wept without anyone knowing, and you believed those tears were meaningless. But my child, I have not allowed a single tear to fall in vain. I have kept them as testimony that your heart did not turn to stone. I used them to soften hardened places, to preserve your capacity to feel. I say this so you will stop condemning yourself. Tears do not make you small. Tears prove that you are alive. I do not need you to be strong in the world's way, hard, cold, indifferent. I need you strong in the kingdom's way, soft yet unbroken, gentle yet not consumed, silent yet not erased, courageous without noise. Now I want you to understand a great principle. My acceleration does not depend on you running faster, but on you walking in rhythm with me. When you walk in rhythm, what once required 10 years of your effort can be shortened to a single season by my hand. But when you walk out of rhythm, you can run very fast and still go in circles. That is why I teach you something simple yet profound before every decision. Pause. Pause not out of fear, but to listen. Pause to ask, does this draw me closer to you or farther from you? Pause to examine the fruit. Does this produce peace or confusion? There are doors that open that are not my doors. There are sweet invitations that conceal traps. The enemy does not always appear as something evil. Sometimes he comes as something urgent, something attractive, something affirming. But my child, what I give never requires you to trade your soul. My blessing makes me rich and adds no sorrow. Opportunities from me lift you up without pulling you off center. I am preparing you for a deeper restoration than you ever imagined. You asked me to change your circumstances, and I can. But before I change the outside, I renew the inside. So you do not carry the old into the new. If I open a new door while you still live in self-condemnation, you will step into a wide room and still feel confined. If I give you new provision while fear of lack remains, you will have much and still panic. If I bring you into healthy relationships while old wounds remain untreated, you will distrust even genuine love. That is why I am healing the way you receive. I am healing the way you believe. I am healing the way you see yourself. I am teaching you to receive without shame, to refuse without guilt, to trust without naivete. This is restoration. In that restoration, I am also reestablishing your identity. You are not the one left behind. You are not the one who must strive to be kept. You are my child. You are loved before you accomplish anything. You are chosen before you prove anything. This identity will change the way you walk. You will no longer beg for acceptance. You will carry my light into every place you enter. You will no longer cling to people. You will cling to truth. You will no longer fear misunderstandings so deeply that you betray yourself. You will choose truth and allow me to reveal it. You may be asking, so when will I see the turning, my child? I do not want you living by deadlines. I want you living by presence. But I will not be vague with you. I am a God who acts. I do not only comfort, I intervene. I do not only adjust surfaces, I rebuild foundations. And when foundations are rebuilt, you will see clear signs, peace returning like cool water, clarity arriving like morning light, doors opening without force, the right people appearing not because you chased them, but because I arranged them. You will witness reversals not so you can boast, but so you can know that I have heard. I will restore to you the years you thought were wasted, not necessarily by recreating the past, but by causing what lies ahead to bear fruit more quickly than what lies behind. As it is written in Isaiah 6:0-2. In its time, I, the Lord, will make it happen. My child, its time is not merely a date on a calendar. It is a condition, a state in which you have been aligned. Your heart is ready. Truth has found its place, and you are no longer living by noise. And my child, I am bringing you into that state even now. So do not give up in the transition. Do not draw conclusions while I am clearing the path. Do not call silence rejection when I am working quietly to protect you from what you cannot yet see. I am here. I am fighting for you not to make you a display, but to shape you into a life that is peaceful, clear, strong, and free. Stay, not because you fear missing out, but because you know this is a place of refuge. Breathe. Place your hand on your chest and remember that breath is proof that I am still holding you. And when you move forward, you will move as one no longer pulled by the past, no longer bound by fear, no longer defined by the words of others, but led by my word. You belong to me, and I will complete what I have begun in your life. My beloved child, the season you are passing through is not a repetition of the past. It is a rearrangement for the future. You once believed that what has been happening recently was merely the consequence of old choices, lingering mistakes, or decisions you wish you had made differently. But my child, if everything were only repetition, I would not need to intervene. If everything were merely repayment, I would not be holding you here in my presence. I am doing a new thing, not loudly, not dramatically, but deeply, so deep that it reaches the roots of how you think, choose, and trust. My beloved child, there is something I am removing from you in this season, the habit of defining yourself by old cycles. You have grown accustomed to viewing your life through the lens of last time. Back then, this is just how I am. You say, last time I tried and failed. Back then I believed and got hurt. I'm not the kind of person who gets favored. But my child, those sentences are not prophecy. They are simply memories that have not yet been healed. I do not build your future with memory. I build it with promise. And promise is not limited by what happened. Promise is anchored in who I am. I know you are afraid of repeating pain. That fear has made you more cautious, more guarded, and at times, it has closed you off. You call it wisdom. But deep within, I can see that sometimes it is defense. You are not wrong for wanting to protect yourself. I do not blame you for learning to shield yourself after wounds. But my child, what once helped you survive does not always help you live fully. There are armors that must be removed before you step into what I have prepared, not because you are weak, but because you are no longer standing on the old battlefield. I am teaching you to discern the difference between being careful and being closed. Carefulness still leaves the door open to me. Closeness locks out the light as well. Carefulness listens and waits for confirmation. Closeness concludes before I have spoken. You once promised yourself you would never let anyone hurt you the way you were hurt before, and that vow kept you safe for a time. But now I am inviting you further, not to open your heart naively, but to open your heart while being led. I am not asking you to trust everyone. I am asking you to trust me enough that I can filter for you. A shift is taking place in the way I lead you. Before, I allowed you to learn through collision. Now I am teaching you to learn through listening. Before, you recognized what was wrong after it had already hurt you. Now you will recognize what is not from me the moment it steals your peace. This is the mark of spiritual maturity. When your soul is refined, it responds sooner, not with panic, but with a subtle awareness of weight and lightness. I am sharpening that ability within you. You will begin to notice that you are no longer excited the way you used to be about invitations that once made your heart race. Some things you once called opportunity, you now see as distractions. Some relationships that once made you feel needed now leave you tired. Do not be alarmed by this change. It does not mean you have become cold. It means you have become clear. And when you are clear, you are no longer pulled by what does not fit the new season. I am also removing another pattern from you, the belief that you must fully understand before you obey. You have learned to analyze, to weigh, to measure risk, and at times that was necessary. But my child, there are steps that only open when you take them, not when you explain them. I am not inviting you into blindness. I am inviting you into trust. Trust is not abandoning the mind. Trust is placing the mind in its proper place under the leading of my spirit, not under the rule of fear. You once asked me to open doors. I have heard you. But what I am doing in the hidden places is greater than opening a single door. I am building a new foundation within you, a foundation strong enough that when the door opens, you will not be swept away by pressure, by eyes, by expectations. I do not want you to step into what is new with the posture of one who fears losing. I want you to step in with the posture of one who is at rest. When you are at rest, you do not cling, you choose. You do not panic when something does not unfold the way you expected. You allow me to adjust the rhythm. A healing is taking place in your relationship with time. Before, you lived like someone always late to your dreams, late to your purpose, late to your own life. You carried the feeling of it's too late like a shadow, but I am removing that shadow. You are not late. You are in the right place. There are things that, if they had happened earlier, would have hurt you more. There are doors that, if opened before you were ready, would have made you doubt me when pressure came. So I held back not to reject you, but to preserve you. Look at my history with my people, and you will understand this. I have never been in a hurry. I allowed Abraham to wait for the promise, not to test his patience, but to give faith roots. I allowed Joseph to remain in the prison before entering the palace, not because I forgot him, but because I was forming a heart that could carry power without corruption. I allowed Israel to wander in the wilderness not because I lost the way, but because slavery needed time to leave their minds before they could live as free. These are not distant stories, they are principles I still use today. I do not want you merely to achieve what is new, I want you to keep it. I do not want you only to step into blessing, I want you to live steadily within blessing. That is why I am resetting your rhythm slower on the surface, deeper at the core, and when the core is strong, everything outside will follow. In this season, you may find yourself speaking less, explaining less, sharing less. Do not condemn yourself for that. I am teaching you to keep holy what I am nurturing. Not every seed needs the crowd's attention. Some seeds need only good soil and silence. When the time comes, it will rise on its own, stronger because it took root deep. Do not rush to conclude before I have finished. Do not compare your rhythm to someone else's. You are not behind, you are distinct, and you are not alone. I am going before you, clearing the path, correcting direction, holding the pace so that when you step into what I have promised, you step in with steadiness, clarity, and peace. My beloved child, as I rearrange your life for the future, there is something I want you to see clearly. The turning you are asking for does not begin with circumstances. It begins with the inner door. Many times you have believed that if you only had one more opportunity, One more helper, more money, a clearer sign, then your heart would finally be at rest. But my child, if your inner axis has not been reset, you can walk into any room and still carry a storm. I do not want you only to change scenery. I want you to change the climate of your soul. And that climate changes when you stop letting fear sit in the driver's seat. You learned how to live on alert. There were days you thought you were fine. But in truth, you were constantly monitoring words, attitudes, signs of rejection. Someone says one sentence, and your heart immediately braces. You see a delay, and your mind instantly builds the worst-case script. You receive silence, and your soul quickly concludes that you do not matter. My child, I do not blame you, because old wounds taught you vigilance as a way to survive. But I am telling you, you are no longer in a place where you must survive. You are stepping into a place where you are meant to live. And to live, you must learn to release. Releasing is not giving up. Releasing is returning control to me. Fear often disguises itself as wisdom. It says, don't trust anyone, or you'll be deceived. It says, don't hope too much, or you'll be disappointed. It says, don't step forward, or you'll be noticed and attacked. It urges you to stay safe by not daring to dream big, not daring to love deeply, not daring to choose what is new. But my child, that kind of safety is a gentle prison. It does not kill you at once, it slowly drains you. And I did not come so that you would live drained, I came so that you would live abundantly. That is why I am teaching you a sacred discipline in this season. Pause before you react. When you hear a word that makes your heart tighten, do not rush to respond. When you face a situation that makes your mind panic, do not rush to flee. When you encounter a decision that leaves you unsettled, do not drag it into the night of anxiety. Pause. Breathe. Let me enter that moment. A well-timed pause can save you from a long chain of mistakes. Some decisions are not wrong in content, they are wrong in timing. Some words are not poisonous in meaning. They become poisonous because they are spoken from fear. I am teaching you to remove fear from the steering wheel. Fear is not condemned by me, it is trained by me. When fear is placed correctly, it makes you careful, willing to ask me, willing to seek help, willing to slow down so you do not stumble. But when fear sits on the throne, it magnifies risk, shrinks grace, and convinces you that standing still is safety. I tell you the truth, standing still in a season when I am calling you forward is not safety, it is delay. And delay always carries a cost, not because I punish, but because you miss the rhythm of what I am doing. You may ask, but what if I step forward and get it wrong, my child? I am not asking you to never be wrong. I am asking you to never leave me. Mistakes can be corrected when you remain in my presence. But when you run from me in shame, a small misstep becomes a long cycle. I am teaching you a mature habit when you realize you are off course. Return immediately. No self-punishment, no self-condemnation, no hiding. Just return. And you will find that I am not standing there to say, I told you so, but to say, I am still here. My grace does not minimize sin. Grace makes you strong enough to face truth without collapsing. In this season, I am teaching you the difference between responsibility and self-torment, two things that look similar but lead to very different places. Responsibility says, this needs to be corrected. Self-torment says, I am what needs to be fixed. Responsibility opens the way forward. Self-torment shuts the door with shame. You have lived a long time in self-torment, one mistake, and you punish yourself for months, one weakness, and you label yourself useless. My child, that is not my voice. I correct you with truth, but I hold you with love. I do not break you in order to build you. I heal you so that you can stand. And when you stand, you will walk differently. You will learn to receive opportunities without panic. You will learn to prepare without obsession. You will learn to strive without trading away peace. You will learn to say yes with intention and no with gentleness and clarity. I will give you wisdom to steward blessing, for blessing is not only what I give, it is also what must be kept. Keeping does not mean gripping with anxiety. It means stewarding with order. You will know what needs daily care, what needs rest, and what needs to be released at the right time. You will no longer live as someone who is always afraid of losing. You will live as someone who knows how to cherish without being bound. Part of this stewardship is learning how to receive help. You have grown used to doing things alone because you fear obligation, fear entanglement, fear being used. I understand, but I am also teaching you discernment. What comes from grace carries no debt. What comes from manipulation must be refused. When you receive rightly, the flow continues. When you refuse rightly, the flow remains pure, and I am maturing you to the point where you no longer confuse the two. You will notice a new space opening within you, a space that was once filled with worry. In that space, you will hear me more clearly. You will sense a gentle direction, a quiet reminder, a peaceful nudge, and you will discover this. I do not lead you with thunder every day, but with subtle signs repeated at the right time. I correct you with simple phrases. Slow down. Do not rush. Do not retaliate. Rest. Step forward. If you obey these small words, they will open an entire chain of blessings. I am doing something very beautiful. I am changing the way you walk through life. You will no longer be dragged by old fears. You will no longer be driven by the need for approval. You will no longer have to prove your worth. You will walk as one who is anchored, loved, and led. And as you walk this way, you will see doors open in a new order, the order of the kingdom, not the order of panic. What I am doing is not only changing circumstances, I am changing you into someone who can carry what I give and still remain at peace. And that is the deepest miracle, not merely receiving, but keeping, not merely rising, but rising in freedom. My beloved child, I want you to walk a little further now to the place where you not only understand what I am doing, but begin to live according to my new rhythm. There is a truth you must write into your heart. Not every change begins with a loud sound, but every lasting change begins with a deep inner agreement. You once waited for a dramatic sign before daring to move. You believed that if I spoke louder, opened a bigger door, made things clearer, you would no longer hesitate. But my child, many times I did not withhold signs. You lacked the stillness to recognize them. When your heart is pulled by fear and busyness, even my quietest word is swallowed. That is why, in this season, I am teaching you a new kind of obedience. Obedience in silence. Obedience in small things. Obedience before you see results. I know you have waited a long time. I know there were days you wanted to believe but felt depleted. I know there were moments you prayed and then wondered if your prayer reached heaven. But, my child, I am not a God who teases. I am a God who completes. What I promise does not spoil with time. It ripens at the right moment. And the right moment is not only when circumstances are ready, it is when you are ready, not perfectly polished, but soft enough to hear, steady enough to hold, mature enough to steward. There is a common mistake people make when they ask me to bless them. They want me to change the outside, but they do not want me to touch what is deep within. They want doors opened, but they do not want me to correct how they walk through those doors. They want to increase, but they do not want me to heal the fear of lack. They want to be loved, but they do not want me to touch the fear of abandonment that makes them cling. My child, I love you too much to give you only what you like. I will give you what you need. That is why, before I bring you into new rooms, I am cleansing old mechanisms that once helped you survive, but would destroy you in a season of abundance. Blessing without order becomes a burden. Opportunity without boundaries becomes temptation. Attention without identity becomes a trap. I do not want you to rise only to lose yourself. I want you to rise and remain whole mind clear, heart at peace, hands clean, motives pure. That is why I am placing divine order into your life. This order begins with very small decisions. You choose adequate rest instead of staying up late in worry. You choose truth instead of pretending you are fine. You choose rest instead of self-punishment. You choose learning instead of delay. You choose to leave what makes you shrink instead of staying to be accepted. These choices appear ordinary, but they are building a life that does not easily collapse. I am teaching you about the stewardship of blessings. You may have thought that blessing arrives and all tension disappears, but I tell you, this blessing opens a new responsibility, not a crushing one, but the responsibility of maturity. When I entrust you with more, I also entrust you with the wisdom to keep it. Keeping does not mean gripping in fear. It means arranging, prioritizing, and honoring limits. You will learn what needs daily care, what needs rest so it does not burn out, what needs to be delegated so you do not carry everything, and what needs to be released so your heart remains light. Wisdom does not weigh you down. It keeps you from overflow that destroys. Within this stewardship, you will touch something deep, learning to receive without shame. You are used to giving, carrying, standing on your own. So when good things come, you may hesitate, afraid of obligation, afraid of being bound, afraid of being used. I understand, but my child, learning to receive is part of healing. Receiving rightly does not make you weak, it makes you stable. I teach you to discern what comes from grace creates no debt. What comes from manipulation must be refused. When you receive rightly, you allow the flow to continue. When you refuse rightly, you keep the flow clean. That discernment is a sign that you have stepped out of a survival mindset and into a life of abiding. I bring you into meetings that are not accidental. Some people I send not to create noise, but to confirm. Not everyone comes to stay. Some come only to open a door, to place a piece, to remind you that I am still leading. Do not cling to people out of fear of loss. Cling to me. If I send them, I also have the right to release them. And if they go, I have the right to send others better, truer, healthier. I am not short of instruments to bless you, but I will not allow you to worship the instruments. I will teach you gratitude without dependence. I am closing certain cycles you have walked for too long. Old patterns, self-blame, delay, attachment, fear. I am ending them. Not because you finally tried hard enough, but because my grace is intervening to pull you out of familiar ruts. But you must cooperate with that grace. Cooperation does not mean doing everything. It means obeying what you already know. When I tell you to rest, you rest. When I tell you to be silent, you are silent. When I tell you to step forward, you step. When I tell you to release, you release. That is how you place your feet into a new rhythm. There will be days when you do not feel my presence clearly, yet I am still working. Do not use emotion as the measure of truth. The truth is this: I have promised to be with you. I work even when you do not see it. I arrange things even while you sleep. I protect you even when you are unaware. Some things you call delay are actually my protection from a greater cost. Some doors you want opened, if opened too soon, would pull you off course. I am not withholding what is good. I am separating you from what is false so you may receive what is real. As it is written, I will give you beauty for ashes, joy instead of mourning, and a garment of praise instead of a heavy spirit. My child, this is not poetry for you to read and forget. This is how I act. I turn ashes into beauty not by painting over pain, but by transforming pain into a foundation for growth. I turn mourning into joy, not forced joy, but joy with roots, anchored in the truth that I have not abandoned you. I clothe you with praise not to cover wounds, but to remind you who you are, whom you belong to, and where you are going. Now walk with me in this rhythm: peace first, results follow, obedience first, light opens, inner order first, outer increase comes. You do not need to run to catch up. You only need to walk to be aligned. I do not call you to be loud, I call you to be steady. And when you are steady, what I have promised will not only arrive, it will remain. My beloved child, I am not only leading you out of what exhausted you, I am also leading you into a deep purification, a purification not meant to cause more pain, but to free you from the layers of dust that have settled on your identity over the years. You grew accustomed to enduring until you mistook endurance for faith, accustomed to silence until you mistook silence for humility, accustomed to self-strain until you mistook it for maturity. But my child, I am separating these things within you, so you no longer call chains a cross, no longer call fear wisdom, no longer call old habits your true nature. I did not come so that you would merely get through life. I came so that you would live in the freedom I intended. And that freedom begins when you dare to look honestly at what has attached itself to you but does not belong to you. My child, some things in your life are not sin, but wounds. And some things are not wounds, but false beliefs that took root in wounds. I do not treat you as one condemned. I heal you as one loved. So when I touch the places you avoid, do not think I am shaming you. I am simply shining light so you no longer live in the shadow of old conclusions. You were disappointed, and you learned not to expect. You were abandoned, and you learned not to cling. You were misunderstood, and you learned not to explain. Those lessons once helped you survive, but if you carry them into the new season, they will cause you to close the doors I am opening. I do not want you to become cold. I want you to become clear, clear enough to love without blindness, to trust without naivety, to walk without having to brace yourself against the world. That clarity does not come from suspicion, it comes from light. Therefore, I am leading you through a process like refining fire, not a fire that destroys, but a fire that cleanses. You will notice that I begin to bring to the surface things you thought were long asleep, a surge of irritation you cannot explain, a fear that rises even though the danger is no longer present, self-doubt appearing precisely when you are about to step into something new, a feeling of I do not belong here when you are invited to step forward. My child, do not panic. These are not signs of failure. They are signs that I am touching the root. When the root is touched, the leaves will tremble. When the foundation is repaired, the surface will shake. You do not need to hate yourself for these reactions. You only need to bring them before me. Learn to speak truthfully with me, for truth is the ground of freedom. When you speak honestly, you do not surprise me. You simply open the door for me to enter. And when I enter, I do not stand there to accuse you. I stand there to untangle what has bound you. There is something very specific I am removing from you, the need to be chosen by people. You have lived as though you must earn your place to be kept. Do everything right to be loved. Carry more to prove your worth. That has exhausted you. It turns love into a contract, relationships into examinations, and life into a competition with no finish line. But I tell you this, you do not need permission from anyone to exist. I have chosen you. I have called you by name, and because you belong to me, you no longer have to kneel before human approval. When this truth truly takes root, you will enter rooms without asking your soul for permission. You will face authority without losing your voice. You will receive praise without addiction and criticism without collapse. You will know who you are even when others do not understand. This is the renewal of identity, not a slogan you repeat, but a foundation you stand on. In this renewal, I am also teaching you to leave behind subtle compromises. Some compromises do not look like sin. They look like keeping the peace, avoiding trouble, not making things complicated. You have lowered your standards to maintain harmony. You have stayed silent to avoid conflict. You have smiled so you would not be labeled difficult. But my child, I do not call you to be gentle in a way that gets crushed. I call you to be gentle with strength. A strength that knows how to say no without poison. A strength that knows how to leave without hatred. A strength that knows how to stand firm without shouting. I am placing that strength within you, so you are no longer pulled by invisible strings of fear, fear of loss, fear of being disliked, fear of being left behind. When those strings are cut, you will feel as though you have taken off a heavy, soaked garment you have worn for far too long. I know there will be moments when it feels as though I am cutting away many things at once, certain habits, certain connections, certain ways of thinking, certain plans. You may ask, why are you taking so much, my child? I do not remove to leave you empty. I prune so that you may bear fruit. A tree is not pruned because it is useless, but because it has potential. I cut branches that drain life, branches that grow in the wrong direction, branches that cost you energy without producing fruit. I prune so light can reach deeper, so sap can flow where it should, so the coming season yields not a few scattered fruits, but an abundant harvest. Do not fear pruning. Fear clinging to the wrong branches and calling it faithfulness. Faithfulness to me is never the same as loyalty to what is quietly killing your peace. You once wanted me to perform miracles so you would not have to heal. You wanted me to open doors so you would not have to learn discipline. You wanted me to change circumstances so you would not have to change your responses. But my child, the greatest miracle I am working in you is the miracle of maturity. You are no longer running from truth. You are no longer using busyness to hide fear. You are no longer using excuses to delay. You are beginning to stay with me in the quiet places where there is no applause, no audience, no achievement. It is there that I pour fresh oil. It is there that I reset your axis. It is there that I make your soul so steady that when external winds come, you are not blown away. Learn a new way of praying, not only asking me to change situations, but asking me to keep you aligned while situations are changing. Ask me for a clear mind, a soft heart, an obedient will. and a peace that cannot be bought, and I will give them. When you carry these within you, you will see everything else begin to line up. You will realize that I am not only preparing the gift, I am preparing the receiver. I am not only preparing the door, I am preparing your steps. I am not only preparing the blessing, I am preparing the vessel, so the blessing does not spill into chaos. Remember this: when the process feels exhausting, the fire does not come to destroy you, it comes to refine you. What is true will remain. What is false will fall away. What belongs to me will endure. What does not belong to me will quietly leave. And when this process is complete, you will not merely be rescued from something, you will be led into a new life, a life in which you walk lighter, clearer, brighter, not because you have become numb, but because you have been restored in love. I am doing this not so you appear perfect before people, but so you are free before me. And in that freedom, you will begin to see doors that once could not be opened, not because you are stronger, but because you are better aligned. My beloved child, now that you have passed through the first purification, I want to lead you into a deeper layer, a place where long-standing lies no longer have shelter, and truth begins to stand within you like an unshakable pillar. You once thought you knew yourself well, but my child, some of the things you know about yourself are merely stories you learned to survive. They are not identity, they are borrowed garments. I am gently removing those layers not to leave you exposed, but to clothe you again with what I fashioned from the beginning. One subtle lie has followed you for a long time: that you are only valuable when you are useful. When you produce, give, carry, solve, then you feel you have a place. But when you are tired, when you need help, when you slow down, you feel like a burden. My child, that is not my voice. I do not love you because you are useful. I love you because you are you. If you continue to believe this lie, you will remain depleted in the very season you are called to bear fruit. So, I am breaking it. I am teaching you to remain with me even when you are contributing nothing, so you may know that your presence alone delights me. Another lie has also taken deep root: that you must manage everything yourself to be safe. You learned not to expect, not to depend, not to be vulnerable with anyone, even with me, because you feared disappointment once more. You called this independence. But my child, there is a thin line between healthy independence and isolation. Isolation makes you proud of needing no one, yet leaves you alone when you need to be held. I did not design you to live alone in a fortress of self-reliance. I designed you to live in a safe relationship with me and with those I carefully choose. Therefore, I am inviting you to learn trust again, not rushed, not blind, but real. I know you have been betrayed. I know there were moments when you gave your heart in good faith, according to the understanding you had at the time, and were wounded. I do not dismiss those memories, but my child, I do not want the past to be given authority to write the laws of your future. If you allow old pain to become your counselor, it will always advise retreat. I want my spirit to be your counselor. He will teach you discernment. So you open the right doors and close the right doors. You will no longer fling everything open out of longing, nor seal everything shut out of fear. You will open with peace and close with clarity. This is freedom. In this process, I am also healing the roots of shame, shame that does not always appear as low self-worth. Some shame disguises itself as perfectionism, driving you to exhaustion. Some shame wears the mask of humor, using laughter to avoid being truly seen. Some shame hides behind morality, pushing you to hold impossibly high standards for yourself while never allowing yourself to rest. My child, I do not heal the surface, I touch the root. I ask you gentle but direct questions. Why are you afraid of being seen? Why are you afraid of being needed? Why are you afraid of not being enough? These questions are not meant to condemn, they are meant to open doors. When the door opens, light enters. And when light enters, darkness withdraws on its own. I am removing from you the confusion between humility and self-erasure. True humility does not deny what I have placed within you. True humility places it under my guidance. You once thought speaking about your abilities was pride, so you made yourself smaller. You once thought receiving praise was dangerous, so you deflected it. But my child, denying the gifts I have given you does not glorify me. I am glorified when you use your gifts in the right place, at the right time, with the right motive. I do not need you to disappear so others may shine. I need you to stand in your rightful position so my light may pass through you. As I break lies and heal roots, I am also arranging encounters of purpose. Do not expect them to arrive with fanfare. Many will come quietly through an introduction, a small project, a brief conversation. But my child, pay attention to the fruit after these encounters. Do you feel expanded? Do you see more clearly? Are you encouraged to live more truthfully? These are signs that I am placing the right people along your path. Not everyone who appears is meant to stay, but those who stay will not require you to trade your peace. I do not send people to fill emptiness. I send them to walk with you in what has been called forth. You will also notice that some old relationships feel heavier in this season. That is not because they have grown worse, but because your rhythm has changed. When you no longer live from fear, relationships built on fear will reveal themselves. Do not try to save them by returning to old patterns. Faithfulness to me may look like unfaithfulness in human eyes, but I see the motive. I do not reward sacrifices that make you smaller. I reward obedience that makes you free. Practice a new habit when facing decisions. Ask about fruit before asking about benefit. What fruit will this choice produce? Does it give life or pressure? Does it draw you closer to me or pull you away? Does it nourish identity or image? When you ask these questions, you will avoid many paths that look like progress, but are actually circles. I do not need you to be smarter. I need you to be more honest with the signals I have placed within you. Do not be surprised if, after deep healing, you feel a sense of emptiness. That emptiness is not loss, it is space. Before, that space was filled with self-blame, fear, busyness, and roles. Now that these have left, the openness may feel unfamiliar. Do not rush to fill it with noise. Let me fill it with my presence. In that space, I will sow something new, a purified desire, a refined dream, a clearer direction. What I sow in silence will rise at the appointed time with enduring life. As it is written, you will know the truth, and the truth will set you free. My child, this freedom is not a dramatic moment. It is a series of small choices, choosing truth over comfort, light over familiarity, trust over control. Each time you choose this way, one link of the old chain falls away. And when enough links have fallen, you will realize you are walking much lighter than before. I am not in a hurry to finish this process, because I know the value of doing it well, but neither am I delaying without purpose. I am bringing you to a place where you no longer need to prove that you have been healed. You simply live. You will live with a peace that does not need explanation, a confidence that does not need display, a courage that does not need noise. And in that state, You will be ready for what comes next, the part where I open doors that have long been prepared. And you step through not as one who trembles, but as one who knows where they belong. My beloved child, there are seasons when I keep you hidden to heal you, and seasons when I bring you into the light to affirm you. This light is not a loud stage. It is the light of order, clarity, and rightful position. When the light comes, you do not need to push yourself forward. I will place you where I have prepared. You once feared being seen because you associated visibility with scrutiny, judgment, and renewed pain. But my child, my light does not expose to shame. It reveals to heal and to position. There are things I have done in the darkness of your tears, in the private room of whispered prayers, in quiet acts of obedience no one applauded. Now I allow them to bear fruit before others, not so they honor you, but so they see that I am faithful to those who remain. And when I affirm you, you do not need to defend yourself. You only need to stand still in your identity. The affirmation I speak of is not always fame or praise. Sometimes it is trust entrusted to you, responsibility placed in your hands, a door opening at the right moment, an invitation into a room you once knocked on for a long time. Sometimes it is a shift in how others perceive you, no longer dismissing, controlling, or using you for their own ends. But my child, do not let their gaze become a new measure. I do not replace old chains with new ones. My affirmation comes to liberate, not to bind. Therefore, I teach you one essential principle. As you step into the light, guard your inner order before every outward movement. When the pace of life accelerates, keep your breathing slow. When praise comes, keep your heart soft. When responsibility increases, keep your day of rest. When opportunities open, keep your boundaries. You do not need to prove that you are worthy. You need to protect what has been healed. Light will test motives, and a pure motive will stand firm. I am placing within you the ability to enter crowded places without losing inner stillness. This is the mark of one who has been trained. When I lift you up, old voices will try to pull you back down, not because they are strong, but because they are familiar. It may be self-doubt returning in a whisper, "You do not belong here." It may be people who once benefited from you making yourself smaller, now uncomfortable as you stand upright. It may be subtle comparisons that tempt you to move faster than my rhythm. My child, this is the moment to apply what I have taught you. Pause. Red the fruit. Hold the axis. You do not need to retaliate. You do not need to explain. You do not need to prove anything. I am the one who defends you. When you keep your heart clean, I keep your name. I am also protecting you in ways you cannot see. There are doors I open, but I also assign guardians. There are invitations I allow to come, but I limit their authority over your soul. There are relationships I allow to sprout, but I prune them early so they do not consume your life. I do this because I care not only that you enter what is new, but that you remain in it without being depleted. I know the pressure of the light, therefore I shield you from being consumed by the very blessings I give. Remember this, as you walk forward, you do not carry what I give alone. I do not entrust you with burdens beyond grace. If I assign a task, I also assign strength. If I open a door, I also provide an exit. If I bring you into responsibility, I also place the right help beside you. But you must learn one more discipline: delegation. Do not hold everything out of fear of losing control. Do not keep everything out of fear of being replaced. Delegation does not make you smaller, it makes you greater. When you use authority to lift others, your authority increases. When you use authority to press down, your authority decays. I have placed within you a living authority, an authority scented with grace, framed by truth, and moving to the rhythm of order. Peace will not leave you even when life becomes busy. Not peace because everything is easy, but peace because everything is in its proper place. You will find yourself sleeping more deeply, speaking less, choosing more carefully. You will notice that careless words no longer trigger you so easily. You will be able to stand in the midst of differences without falling apart. This is not because you have become numb. It is because you now have a foundation, and that foundation is me. There are concrete steps coming, steps that are not vague, a decision that needs to be signed, a meeting that must be attended, a skill that needs to be refined, a word that must be spoken, something that must be released so you can be lighter. I will not require you to do everything at once. I will lead you step by step, and each step will be sufficient for that day. Be faithful to the next step. Do not try to live ahead of the future. When you live fully today, tomorrow will open on its own. When you find yourself placed in rooms where your name is spoken, keep one truth in your heart: the glory belongs to me. Not because you have no value, but because when glory is rightly placed, you are kept safe. You will not become addicted to praise, afraid of criticism, or dependent on attention. You will know how to use light to serve, not to validate yourself. You will know how to step away from the light when necessary without fearing being forgotten, because you know you are remembered. As it is written in Micah 7:8, do not rejoice over me, my enemy. Though I have fallen, I will rise. Though I sit in darkness, the Lord will be my light. My child, this light does not only guide, it protects. When you walk in my light, you do not fear the darkness in others. You do not need to lower them in order to stand tall. You do not need to prove yourself to remain. You only need to be faithful. This is a turning point where many things converge. Healing has completed its work. Truth has taken its stand. Identity has been reset. Order has been formed. Now you walk not as one who trembles, but as one who knows where they belong. You do not need to rush. I have gone ahead of you. You do not need to defend yourself. I surround you. You do not need to be perfect. I am enough. Walk with a straight back and a gentle heart. Work with clean hands and pure motives. Speak less and listen more. Remember, I am with you in the light as well as in the quiet, and I will complete what I have begun in your life. My beloved child, after healing has taken place and identity has been restored, trials do not disappear, they change form. Before, your trials were pain, lack, and the feeling of being abandoned. Now, your trials are abundant, doors opening wide, trust being placed in your hands. Not everyone falls in hardship. Many fall when favor comes too quickly and the foundation has not yet settled. Therefore, I am teaching you how to enter a season of expansion without losing vigilance. You once asked me to bring you out of darkness, and I did. But my child, light must also be learned how to be carried. Light reveals everything: motives, habits, rhythms of life. In darkness, many things can hide. In light, everything is exposed. That is why I do not only bring you into the light, I train you to stand firm in it. This training does not come through grand lessons, but through very small, daily choices, choosing truth over embellishment, slowing down instead of being swept by momentum, guarding private disciplines rather than living on attention, doing what is right when no one is watching. These choices, repeated over time, will form a life that cannot be swept away. Noise is not the same as presence. You can be among many people and still have a dry soul. You can be alone and yet full within. I do not measure your life by the number of interactions, invitations, or activities. I measure it by the quality of connection, first with me, and then with those I place beside you. Therefore, learn to guard inner stillness as you would guard a treasure. Do not sell it for the feeling of importance. Do not lose it for the sake of busyness. That stillness is where I whisper what you need for the next step. You will recognize that when I lift you up, many voices will call for your attention from different directions. There is the voice of achievement: do more, move faster, grow bigger. There is the voice of the image: be more visible so you are not forgotten. There is the voice of comparison: others are moving ahead more quickly. My child, this is the moment to remember I do not call you to chase every voice. I call you to follow mine. Not every opportunity is instruction. Not every open door is my path. You do not need to refuse out of fear. You only need to choose by peace. Peace will be your gatekeeper in this season. Faithfulness in small things remains my measure. Even when greater things begin to arrive, I watch how you handle what no one notices, how you keep small promises, how you treat those who have nothing to give you in return, how you care for your body, how you rest when you need to. Do not take these lightly. As it is written, whoever is faithful in very little is also faithful in much. Faithfulness is not strain, faithfulness is consistency. And consistency will keep you safe when the rhythm of life changes. Do not let the urgency of others determine your pace. Some will push you to commit quickly, respond quickly, decide quickly, not because it is good for you, but because it is convenient for them. You do not need to resist harshly. You only need to say, "Give me time." That time is not for delay. It is for asking me. When you make room for me to answer, you will avoid many wrong turns that appear reasonable. I never rush you with anxiety. I lead you with clarity. You may be surprised to see me allow certain good things to leave your life in this season. Do not conclude too quickly that this is loss. Some good things from a previous season will hinder what is right in the next. I remove them not because they are bad, but because they no longer align with where I am leading you. You do not betray the past by moving forward. You honor it by not remaining trapped in it. I am the God of seasons, and each season has its own rhythm. I want you to keep a very simple yet very deep discipline. Begin and end your day with me, not as a religious obligation, but as the calibration of a compass. Just a few moments of silence, a few deep breaths, a short prayer. Lord, please guide me today. And when the day closes, Lord, I place in your hands what I did not understand. Do not underestimate these moments. They keep your axis straight on a long journey. A very slight misalignment, if prolonged, can carry you far from the direction I intended. Your body is part of your obedience. When you neglect it by lacking sleep, eating in haste, refusing rest, your soul will carry the burden. I do not require perfection. I invite care. Care is not selfishness. Care is responsibility so you can serve for the long run. I do not need you to burn brightly and then burn out. I need you to burn steadily. So listen to your body as you would a friend. It often signals before the soul grows weary. There is a powerful protection I give to those who walk in my rhythm: discernment. You will recognize sooner when something is not right, even if it appears reasonable. You will sense a subtle heaviness or lightness within. Do not ignore that sensation. It is not superstition, it is my spirit prompting you. When you honor discernment, you will avoid troubles you once had to learn through pain. This is the grace of maturity. I am not only concerned with how far you go, I care about how long you can walk. Success with me is not measured by speed, but by endurance. You do not need to do everything in one season. You only need to do what is right in this one. When you live a season fully, the next season will open on its own. I do not call you to burn your future to warm your present. I call you to build a foundation so the future can stand. Step into this season of opening with gentle vigilance. Do not fear the light. Learn how to carry it. Do not chase noise. Follow my voice. Do not trade peace for busyness. Let peace lead you into true effectiveness. I am with you in every small choice, in every ordinary step, and I will keep you safe as you guard order within your heart. My beloved child, there are doors that open to test the heart, straight paths that test alignment, and beautiful invitations that test motives. You once asked me to make a way, and I answered, but my child, I am not only the one who opens, I am also the one who keeps you from entering what does not belong to you. Therefore, in this season, I do not only give you opportunities, I give you standards. You will no longer choose out of fear of missing out. You will choose by what nurtures life. You will no longer be hypnotized by appearances. You will look at the fruit within. You will no longer chase promises. You will listen for peace. I tell you this because you are entering a phase where many things that are almost right will appear. They are not completely wrong. They are simply not fully from me. And because they are almost right, they are more dangerous than what is clearly wrong. What is clearly wrong is easy to refuse. What is almost right tempts you into small compromises. Until one day you look back and realize you have drifted farther from me than you thought. My child, I do not want you living by small compromises. I want you living by deep faithfulness. Faithfulness to the axis, to truth, to calling. That faithfulness does not make you rigid, it makes you pure. And one who is pure does not need noise to be strong. You may ask, then how do I discern, my child? I have placed within you simple yet powerful signs: deep peace, growing clarity, and lasting fruit. What belongs to me is not always easy, but it is clean. It may require growth, but it does not contaminate your heart. It does not force you to lie, to be accepted. It does not demand that you cheapen your values to stay. It does not steal your sleep with panic. It does not make you breathe in fear of abandonment. Instead, what is from me helps you stand taller, see clearer, love rightly, and work at a pace that can endure. Learn to ask about fruit before benefit after accepting that invitation. Are you closer to me or farther away? Does your heart expand or contract? Do you gain freedom or chains? My child, the fruit will tell the truth. Understand this: some things you once called opportunities are actually bait. Bait usually carries urgency. Decide now, or you'll lose it. Bait often pulls you away from stillness. Don't think too much, just do it. Bait often triggers greed or fear. Without this, you'll fall behind. But my child, I do not lead you by urgency. I do not speak in panic. I do not push you into decisions through pressure. I may call you to move quickly when needed, but even my quickness carries peace within it. If something demands that you trade inner stillness for a sense of importance, pause. Do not fear missing out. You cannot miss what I have ordained. What belongs to you will not pass simply because you took time to pray. In this season of light, I will also touch another area of your soul: faithfulness to your own words. You have lived long in a world where people promise easily and forget quickly. Speak well and act little. Start passionately and disappear later. You have been wounded by inconsistency, and at times you have grown cautious, even with yourself, afraid you might do the same. Afraid you might abandon what you begin. Afraid you might not endure. I tell you this, I do not require perfection, but I am building in you a life that can be trusted. Trustworthiness is not about doing great things, it is about doing small things consistently. When you say, I will do it, you do it. When you say, I will come, you come. When you say, I need rest, you truly rest. When you say, I cannot, you do not force yourself. That trustworthiness will become a fragrance around you, and I will use that fragrance to open doors that skill alone could not open. But trustworthiness is not built through self-punishment. Many people turn discipline into a whip and standards into a sentence. I do not want you to do that. I want you to learn discipline within grace. You choose what is right, not to prove yourself, but to protect what has been restored. You protect your mind from confusion, your body from exhaustion, your heart from contamination, your calling from distortion. And when you miss the rhythm, you do not strike yourself down, you recalibrate. You do not quit, you return. Quick return is the mark of maturity. The immature either justify themselves or destroy themselves. The mature recognize, ask forgiveness, adjust, and continue forward. I am shaping you into such a person, one who can walk in the light without fearing exposure. Because you know that weakness does not diminish your worth, it only reminds you that you need me. I will also teach you something important about speech in this season. As you begin to enter wider spaces, your words will carry more weight. Some will listen. Some will remember. Some will rely on them to make decisions. Therefore, I teach you to speak less but accurately, truthfully but gently, firmly without display. I do not call you to use words to showcase yourself. I call you to use words to build. You will learn to avoid premature promises, vague self-promotion, and complaints that pull others into your inner turbulence. Instead, you will learn simple language. I am learning. I am working on it. I don't know yet, but I will find out. I need time. These words sound ordinary, but they are signs of maturity and freedom. Those who are not free must embellish. Those who are free can speak plainly. Do not be surprised if, in this season of opening, I call you back to simplicity. Many believe that when life is elevated, everything must become more complex, more plans, more relationships, more things to manage. But I tell you, true strength often walks with simplicity. The clearer you are, the lighter you become. The lighter you are, the farther you can go. Therefore, I will help you simplify what distracts you, habits that consume time without nourishing your soul, relationships that require performance, goals driven by image rather than truth. I do not cut to remove joy, I cut to restore clean joy. Clean joy does not need proof. Clean joy does not need an audience. Clean joy is what you feel when you know you are walking in the right direction. And within that simplicity, I will restore a capacity that pressure has stolen from you, the ability to enjoy. You have lived as one who always has to achieve. So when something is given, you immediately worry about keeping it. You have lived as one who always has to fix. So when things are calm, you feel uneasy. I will teach you to be at rest without guilt. I will teach you to rest without shame. I will teach you to receive without panic. This is how I heal the root of inner scarcity. When you learn to enjoy within me, you will no longer need shopping, noise, or approval to fill you. You will be full first, then act. You will be settled first, then step forward. You will know you are loved first, then you will dare to carry responsibility. I am protecting you in the light by teaching you these things. For light is not only where you are seen, light is also where you are tested. And I want you to pass that test beautifully, not by your own strength, but by the order of the kingdom within you. Remember this, you do not need to carry everything to prove yourself. You do not need to run fast to be acknowledged. You only need to guard your axis and walk in the right rhythm. I will do the rest. I will arrange. I will make a way. I will place you where you belong. And when you stand in that place, you will know this is not luck, this is guidance. My beloved child, there are stretches of the road where, if you do not pause to reorient, you will continue by momentum rather than by guidance. And my child, I do not lead you by momentum, I lead you by presence. This season is no longer about running to escape, nor striving to attain. This is the season of learning to walk together, walking with me, following me, keeping pace with me. When you keep that pace, everything else will naturally find its place. I know there are moments when you ask, why? When everything is beginning to open, are you teaching me to slow down, my child? Because speed without depth will cause you to slip away from yourself. I do not want you merely to arrive. I want you to remain in peace, to remain in clarity, to remain in identity. Therefore, I am teaching you an art. Very few learn the art of holy endurance, quiet, unshowy, yet unshakable. There are people who move very fast for a short time and then disappear. There are people who blaze brightly and then burn out. But my child, I am shaping you like a lamp with stored oil burning long, burning steadily, burning through the night. This requires that you learn to nourish your inner life regularly, not waiting until depletion to cry out. You will learn to read signs of fatigue before collapse, recognize distraction before wandering, adjust rhythm before breaking. This is not weakness, it is the wisdom of maturity. Stopping is not quitting, stopping is conserving strength. There are days when you must do less so that tomorrow you can do what is right. There are invitations you must decline not because they are wrong, but because they displace what is more fitting. There are conversations you must end early to protect inner stillness. I did not give you authority to exhaust you. I gave you authority so you would know how to choose. In this season, I am also adjusting how you view success. Success with me is not having more things, but having the right things, not being known by many, but being trusted by the right ones, not doing many tasks, but doing what is needed at the right time. When you measure life by these standards, you will no longer be swept into endless comparison. You will not look sideways with envy, nor upward with impatience. You will look forward and walk. And my child, walking that way is very secure. My child, I know you have lived through seasons where your efforts seemed unseen. You did what was right in the quiet, and you wondered whether it mattered. I tell you this, not a single drop of faithfulness is wasted. What you sowed in the dark, I have recorded in the light. What you guarded when no one was watching, I will use to protect you when many eyes begin to turn toward you. So when attention starts to come, whether small or great, do not be afraid. You do not enter the light as an empty vessel. You enter with a history that has been forged. My child, I am also training you to face fatigue in a new way. Before, when you were tired, you either forced yourself to keep going, or you collapsed into total withdrawal. Neither path leads to life. Now I am teaching you a third way: recognize and adjust. You pause long enough to listen to your body, your mind, your soul, then you adjust your rhythm, sleep a little more, speak a little less, release one commitment, ask for help when needed. True strength is not never being tired. True strength is knowing how to care for yourself so you can keep going far. I do not despise you when you need rest. I am very near to you in those moments. The greatest protection I give you in this season is not the absence of trouble, but the ability to pass through without being deformed. You will meet opposing opinions, different expectations, subtle pressures, but when you have learned to hold your axis, these things will no longer have authority to define you. You can listen without being swallowed. You can adjust without betraying yourself. You can say no without feeling guilty. This is mature freedom, freedom that does not need to fight to survive. Not every good thing must be done immediately. Not every right idea must be implemented at once. Some seeds need time in dark soil for roots to go deep. If you pull them up too early to inspect them, you will weaken them. So I teach you patience, not by sitting and waiting in anxiety, but by continuing to tend the soil, learning more, practicing steadily, praying quietly, keeping your heart clean. When the time comes, growth will reveal itself without you forcing it. Remember this deeply: I am not in a hurry, and I am not late. When you walk with me, you will not be pressured by other people's clocks. You will know when to step, when to wait, when to return and refine a small detail. That precision is grace. It keeps you from painful loops you once had to learn through injury. Now you will learn through light. Walk forward from here with a gentle steadiness. You do not need to carry everything to prove you have grown. Your stability will speak for itself. You do not need to perform strength. Your peace will protect you. You do not need to rush to the finish. I am already there. What I want is for you to walk with me, step by step, day by day, and along the way, you will realize the greatest gift I give you is not only open doors, but a life that can carry those doors without losing its soul. My child, before I led you through healing so you would not bring wounds into the future, I reset your identity so you would not walk by fear. I taught you a durable rhythm so you would not burn out when light arrived. Now I am bringing you into a season of execution in grace where what has been prepared begins to move with order. And you learn to cooperate with me without forcing, without haste, without self-consumption. Hear me clearly: operating does not mean being loud. What I initiate in your life may unfold very quietly, an email sent at the right moment, an ordinary meeting, a decision that seems small but changes direction, a skill honed in secret. I do not need spectacle to work. I need precision. And that precision comes from a soul whose axis has been aligned. When the axis is straight, the force goes where it should. When the force goes where it should, the outcome remains. Do not forget, the enemy often does not attack head-on. It disrupts rhythm. It whispers that you must do more so you will not fall behind, that you must prove yourself quickly to be trusted, that you must keep everything in your hands so you will not lose control. But I tell you, moving fast is not always moving right. If you trade peace for speed, you have paid too high a price. So keep my rhythm each day. Do what needs to be done. Say what needs to be said. Learn what needs to be learned. No more, no less. Steadiness in grace will carry you farther than any burst of impulsive effort. I am training you in a very practical skill for this season: clean decisions. Clean decisions are not driven by fear, not propelled by pride, not bound by insecurity. Clean decisions have 3 signs: peace before you choose, clarity as you execute, and the ability to live with the outcome without regret. If a choice requires you to lie to maintain it, strain to sustain it, or sacrifice your values to stay in it, that is not my path. My path may require courage, but it does not bend your soul. In this season, I entrust you with the responsibility of growth, not to weigh you down, but to mature you. Before, you learned because you needed to escape. Now you learn to steward. You learn to read agreements, understand context, assess risk, organize time, build habits. These things do not make you less spiritual. They make you reliable. I do not set the sacred against the practical. I want the sacred to enter the practical. So, your life is not divided but integrated: faith in your work, grace in your discipline, trust in your decisions. I will also place you in new environments where you are no longer the smallest, but not yet the greatest. There you will learn authority with humility, to listen without self-contempt, to contribute without showing off, to accept responsibility without carrying everything. You will learn to say, "I don't know yet," without fearing humiliation, to learn quickly without rushing, to advance without stepping on anyone. I am shaping your posture, the posture of someone who has been placed rightly and does not need to compete. Do not lose clean joy. Clean joy does not come from beating others, but from doing what I am assigned. You can achieve many things and still have no joy because you are running on pressure. But when you move by grace, joy follows, like a shadow follows a body. Protect that joy by guarding a day of rest, simple laughter, relationships that nourish you, and the habit of being alone with me. Joy is fuel for the long road. Lose it, and you will push the cart by your own strength. Prepare for this reality when what I am doing begins to bear fruit. There will be new eyes. Not everyone will celebrate. Not everyone will understand. Some will be curious. Some will compare. Some will doubt. Do not let their gaze become the mirror you use to see yourself. See yourself through the truth I speak. You do not need to shrink to make others comfortable, and you do not need to perform to be affirmed. You only need to be aligned. I will handle the rest. In execution, I also teach you the art of finishing. You once began many things with enthusiasm and left them unfinished because you grew exhausted or lost direction. Now I teach you to finish with a durable rhythm. Break the big work into small steps. Set realistic milestones. Celebrate progress. Recalibrate when you drift. Finishing is not forcing yourself to end. Finishing is arriving with your soul intact. I treasure those who finish in grace more than those who start loudly. Remember, in this season, I am in the details. I am in your schedule, your calls, the way you say yes and no, the choice to rest or to push. You are not carrying this alone. Each time you pause to ask me, I will answer, sometimes through peace, sometimes through a closed door, sometimes through counsel from someone I send. Honor those answers, even when they do not match your first desire. I am leading you to something better than what you would have chosen on your own. Know this: execution in grace multiplies influence in a clean way, not through tricks, but through accumulated trust, not through pressure, but through endurance, not through self-promotion, but through fruit. When you live this way, you will see doors open without having to knock loudly. Invitations come without having to chase. The right people appear without forcing. This is not luck, this is the order of the kingdom operating in your life. My beloved child, this season does not only require you to know how to step forward, it requires you to know how to hold. Many people ask for doors to be opened. But when those doors open, they lose themselves because they do not know how to keep order within. They step in and panic. They are entrusted and worry. They are lifted and tremble. And in the end, they do what I never asked of them. They sabotage their own rhythm by trying to control every detail. My child, I did not bring you here to make you a prisoner of success. I brought you here so you may live free within, blessing free to do well without exhaustion, free to grow without losing peace, free to stand firm without strain. Recognize a subtle temptation in this season of opening, the temptation to save yourself through perfection. When opportunity comes, you may think you must get everything right, move fast in everything, satisfy everyone. You fear that one small mistake will cause everything to collapse. But my child, that is not the truth. What I am building in your life is not as fragile as you imagine. I did not place your future on a single hair. I placed it on a covenant. I do not rely on your perfection to fulfill what I have promised. I rely on your obedience, an obedience that is peaceful, rhythmic, and ordered. So, when you feel driven to do too much, stop and ask me, what is required today? I will answer you with simplicity. Simplicity is the sign of my way. Confusion is often the sign of fear. I am teaching you how to guard your heart while everything becomes more crowded. You are used to days when few noticed you. So, when attention increases, you may be pulled to one of two extremes. Either you withdraw because you fear being seen, or you try to please so you can be kept. Both extremes pull you off the axis. I want you to walk a different path. You are present, but not consumed by presence. You show up, but you do not depend on your eyes. You accept responsibility, but you do not trade peace for performance. You can receive praise without swelling, and criticism without shrinking. This is the sign of a soul that has been recentered in me. In this season, I will also touch how you steward your words. As you enter broader spaces, what you say will carry more weight. People will remember what you promise. Cling to what you declare, and take your actions as reference. Therefore, learn to speak what is true and necessary, not everything you know, not every idea you have. You do not need to explain everything to be understood. You need only live rightly to be trusted. Some growth must be kept in hiddenness until it is strong enough. Some things I am doing in you will be disturbed if you release them too early to too many voices. My child, do not confuse openness with exposure. There is sharing that comes from healing, and sharing that comes from insecurity. I will teach you to discern the difference, so you do not place your pearls into hands that do not yet know how to value them. In this phase of execution, I will give you very practical signs about direction, and at times those signs will come through limitations. You may ask me to open more, but I close some things down. You may want to do more, but I tell you to cut back. You may want to move faster, but I place you into a steady rhythm. My child, do not mistake limitation for obstruction. Many limitations are protection. I limit you so you do not fall into exhaustion. I cut back so you can focus. I close secondary doors so you are not scattered from the primary one. I see what you do, not some detours look attractive but will cost you a season. I do not punish you with limits. I love you through limits. Beloved child, I am also sharpening in you a capacity you once lacked. the ability to endure empty space without rushing to fill it. As life begins to operate, there will be very busy days and also unexpectedly quiet ones. Before, you feared empty days because they made old voices louder. Now I teach you to see empty days as resting soil. Resting soil is not useless, it restores. You rest not because you are lazy, but because you are wise. You rest to listen again, to realign, to love again. When you learn to rest rightly, you will work with renewed strength, not with impulsive energy. There is one more thing I want you to hold deeply in this season. You will be tested not by lack, but by choice. In lack, you have only a few directions. When abundance begins, you have many, and those many options are the test. You cannot choose everything. And you do not need to choose everything. My child, I do not evaluate you by the number of doors you walk through. I evaluate you by the rightness of the door you choose. Do not fear saying no to something good in order to keep a yes for what is right. Saying no does not make you lose opportunity. It preserves your destiny. You are not someone chased by scarcity. You are someone led by fullness in me. I know there are moments when you feel pressure to prove that this shift is real through fast results, visible signs, constant achievement. But my child, I do not need you to prove anything. I need you to remain. Remain with me when things improve. For many seek me only in pain. Remain with me when people praise you. For many lose themselves in applause. Remain with me when you begin to have the power to choose. For freedom without guidance becomes a subtle trap. I want you to become someone who uses freedom to serve what is right, not someone who uses freedom to indulge dispersion. Keep your heart soft while your hands stay steady. Do not let responsibility dry you out. Do not let schedules make you cold. Do not let goals cause you to forget people. I give you the ability and opportunity not to distance you, but to make you a source of blessing. You will learn to give without depletion, to help without rescuing, to love without losing boundaries. You will learn to see others through my eyes, not eyes of measurement, but eyes of discernment, knowing whom to lift, whom to set boundaries with, whom to give time to, and whom to speak truth to. This is the maturity of someone entrusted with greater work. Do not overlook the small tasks I give you. At times I will assign you a short call to apologize. At times a message of gratitude. At times the work of cleaning your living space. At times paying a small debt. Organizing paperwork. Learning a foundational skill. These tasks seem ordinary, but they are bricks of order. Order is the language blessing understands. When you live with order, you do not need to chase what is good. What is good finds a place to remain. When you sense that you are stepping into a new rhythm of life, keep a very short prayer in your heart. Lord, keep me in you. Keep me from pride and from insecurity. Keep me from haste and from delay. Keep me from noise and from isolation. Keep me from compromise and from rigidity. This is the prayer of maturity, not asking to be prominent, but asking to be aligned. And when you pray this way, I will answer, because I love hearts that desire to remain in the truth. My beloved child, you have come through much to arrive here. Now, what I invite you to do is not to run faster, but to go deeper. Go deeper into faithfulness, deeper into simplicity, deeper into discipline shaped by grace, deeper into clean joy. When you go deep in this way, the surface of your life will change on its own, and you will realize this: the greatest miracle is not only what I give you outwardly, but that you are transformed inwardly, so you can carry what I give without losing your soul. I want you to understand that this is not merely a continuation, this is a point of convergence. What I have healed, realigned, trained, and quietly set in motion is now being gathered to be sealed. Sealing is not the end of the journey. Sealing is the confirmation that the foundation is now strong enough that the new season will not sweep you away, but lift you up. I am not bringing you into this phase through emotional highs. I am bringing you in through quiet certainty, a certainty that does not need to prove itself, does not need noise, yet cannot be shaken. You have learned how to step, how to hold, how to choose, how to rest. Now, I am teaching you how to remain in what I give without losing what I have formed in you, to remain in blessing without falling into fear of loss, to remain in the light without being burned, to remain in responsibility without being drained. Many can arrive, few can remain. But, my child, I have trained you for remaining not by your own strength, but by the order of the kingdom that has been set within you. Remember, this blessing does not only need to be received, blessing needs to be preserved. Preservation is not clinging tightly. Preservation is living in the right rhythm so that good can stay without becoming heavy. You preserve blessing through very simple things, continuing to pray even when you are not desperate, continuing to rest even when you are busy, continuing to learn even when you have achieved, continuing to speak truth even when you could hide. These things seem ordinary, but they create a climate in which blessing does not turn into pressure. In this season, I am also closing old doors in your mind, doors of self-doubt, comparison, fear of being left behind, and habits of self-forcing. You may still hear those voices knock, but they no longer have authority. When they knock, you do not need to argue. You simply do not open. You now hold the key of discernment. You know how to recognize fruit. You know how to keep your axis. So walk in mature freedom, not reacting by impulse, not deciding under pressure, not defining yourself by the shifting opinions of others. You belong to me, and that does not change with seasons. Completion, in my way, is not being finished, but being rightly placed. Some things I will complete by closing them. Some things I will complete by entrusting them to your long-term stewardship. Some things I will complete by handing them to others so you may move forward. Do not cling to the form of completion. Cling to the purpose. My purpose is life, life for you, through you, and around you. When you hold to that purpose, you will not grieve what must leave, nor fear what must remain. I am sealing the new season with peace that has roots. Not peace because everything is perfect, but peace because everything is in its proper place. You will recognize this peace through very real signs. You are no longer pulled by praise or criticism. You no longer need to run to prove yourself. You no longer panic when the pace slows. You no longer worry when others move faster. You know where you are, what you are doing, and why. That peace is my seal. It tells you that you are walking in my will, even while many things are still forming outwardly. I am also placing upon you a rhythm of life that can be passed on. What I am doing to you is not only for you, it creates a pattern that brings rest to others. When you live with order, others learn order. When you live with boundaries, others feel safe. When you live with grace, others breathe more freely. I do not need you to preach much. Your life will speak. I do not need you to display yourself. Your consistency will persuade. This is a clean influence, an influence that does not force, does not shout, but spreads naturally. You may still have questions that are not fully answered. I am not in a hurry to answer them all. because some answers only open as you continue walking. But I give you something greater than answers companionship. I am with you in unclear decisions. I am with you in stretches that require patience. I am with you when you need courage to say no, and humility to say yes. You do not need to know everything to walk rightly. You only need to stay close to me. Close to me. You will not lose your way. Do not return to old paths just to find familiarity. At times you may miss old feelings, even painful ones, simply because they were familiar. But for my child, familiarity is not the same as safety. I brought you out of those cycles not so you could prove you are strong, but so you could live free. When old longings rise, bring them into the light and speak honestly with me. I will be there to remind you why you walked forward and why you do not need to go back. My child, I am completing what I began not only through outward results, but through the person you are becoming. You are becoming someone who knows how to choose rightly rather than quickly. Someone who knows how to keep rather than merely take. Someone who knows how to rest rather than strain. Someone who knows how to remain rather than burst and fade. And that person is the greatest guarantee of everything I give. Blessings may come and go. A transformed person will carry blessings far. I want you to enter this new season with a gentle reminder in your heart, I was here before you. I am here with you, and I will be here after you. You do not need to fear loss. I hold you. You do not need to fear lack. I provide. You do not need to fear mistakes. I realign. You do not need to fear slowness. I am on time. What I ask of you is simple, yet deep. Remain in love. Walk in truth. Keep rhythm in grace. The rest I will do. This season has been sealed, not with noise, but with stability, not with new promises, but with old promises now lived out. And from that foundation, you will move forward not as one searching for the way, but as one who knows with whom they are walking. My beloved child, as you enter the final portion of this journey, I am not calling you to stand at a finish line and exhale. I am calling you to stand in position. That position is not a high place to look down from, but a firm place to remain. For what I complete in you is not meant to create a memorable moment, but to establish a life that can stand through many seasons. I led you through healing, so you would not carry wounds into the future, through purification so you would not carry mixture into the light, through training so you would not collapse in operation, through preservation so you would not lose what you received. Now, I place you into a quiet commissioning where your life becomes the answer before your words ever become the message. Not everyone who is healed is commissioned, and not everyone who is commissioned needs to be displayed. I commission you first through a presence that has been restored. When you enter a room, the first thing people sense is not your achievements, but the climate you carry, that climate-rooted peace, gentle clarity. Strength without noise does not come from technique. It comes from having remained with me long enough for me to shape your rhythm of life. I do not send you to do great things. I send you to hold what is right in the midst of great things in motion. This commissioning does not come with pressure to save anyone, fix anyone, or prove anything. I do not place you in the role of savior. I place you in the role of a living witness. You bear witness not by speaking much, but by living truthfully, not by winning arguments, but by keeping your heart clean, not by forcing change, but by creating a safe space where truth can arrive. When you live this way, others will ask not, how do you do it, but from where are you living? And my child, that is when you will know that the commissioning is at work. Quiet commissioning often walks hand in hand with an ordinary life that has been sanctified. You will not always be in visible places. more often. You will stand at very human intersections around a dining table, in a meeting room, on a short trip, within a small conversation. Do not despise these places. It is there that I use you to recalibrate rhythms, soften tension, restore order, and sow hope without display. You do not need to manufacture opportunities to make an impact. Opportunities will come when your presence is needed. I do not need you to push your way in. I need you to be ready when you are invited. My child, I am also entrusting you with the responsibility of healthy mediation. Mediation is not standing in the middle to carry everything. Mediation is standing in the right place to guide in the right direction. You will learn when to listen and when to speak, when to intercede in secrecy and when to counsel in truth, when to support and when to set boundaries. You will no longer be pulled into others' emotional whirlwinds as before, because you have learned to keep your axis. Keeping your axis does not make you cold. It makes you safe, safe for yourself and safe for others. I will show you how your influence spreads in widening circles, not in a rush, but with endurance. One person at peace brings peace to a group. A group at peace calms an environment. A calmed environment makes room for truth to enter without shouting. Do not be impatient because you do not see results immediately. The seeds of the kingdom often germinate underground before leaves appear. Your work is to tend the soil to live rightly, speak truthfully, and guard peace. The fruitfulness is my work. I am also teaching you proactive humility within this commissioning. As you become trusted, some will want to lift you high, others will want to pull you low. Do not let either determine your pace. Proactive humility is knowing how to stand in the right place, regardless of how others see you. It is being willing to keep learning even after results appear, being willing to step back so others may step forward, being able to say I was wrong without collapsing, being able to say I decline without fear of loss. I keep you safe through proactive humility, a humility with a spine. Remember also that this commissioning does not cancel your private life. It protects it. You do not need to sacrifice family, health, or rest to prove usefulness. I do not measure your faithfulness by how busy you are, but by how rightly paced you live. If you begin to trade away what is foundational in order to serve, stop and ask me. I do not need you to burn brightly and burn out. I need you to burn steadily. Steadiness comes from oil. Oil comes from knowing how to remain in the secret place. Within this commissioning, I will open for you cross-current encounters, places where your story touches another's story in a way that brings light to both. You do not need to prepare speeches. You need to prepare a true presence. True presence does not avoid scars, but it also does not display them to impress. You will know how much to share for healing and how much to hold for wisdom. I will give you discernment to know what should be spoken publicly and what should remain in the quiet room. That discernment is the gift of one who has learned to remain. Commissioning does not make you the center. I remain at the center. When you remember this, you will not feel pressured to answer every question or solve every problem. You will know how to lead others back to me, rather than keeping them around yourself. This is great safety for your soul and for those you serve. You do not need to be the light. You reflect the light. Reflection does not deplete. There will be days when this commissioning feels very quiet, so quiet that you wonder whether you are doing anything at all. Do not fear that quiet. Quiet is the sign that order is at work. When order is operating, noise is unnecessary as proof. Continue the practices that brought you here. Begin and end your day with me. Keep boundaries, speak truth, rest, learn, love without rescuing. These will keep your commissioning clean. I remind you also that you are not commissioned alone. I have prepared companions, not many, but right. You will recognize them not because they are like you, but because when you are with them, you are closer to me. Cherish them, but do not turn them into substitutes for me. Healthy relationships increase endurance. Dependent relationships drain oil. I will give you discernment to keep relationships in proper form. This quiet commissioning has no graduation day. It is a way of life. You will not always feel used, but you will always know you are placed in my rhythm, placed in truth, placed in peace. From there, your life will continue to bear fruit in season, not because you strive, but because you are planted in the right soil. Walk on, my child, without haste and without hesitation. I have placed you in position. I will keep you in that position, and through you, I will continue to do what I do best, give life gentle, true, and enduring. My beloved child, as you enter this stretch of the road, I want you to understand that commissioning does not end with being rightly placed. It continues in keeping your heart rightly aligned over time. Some begin beautifully but lose rhythm because they never learn the art of long faithfulness. Long faithfulness is not doing more each day. It is remaining with what I have entrusted to you through emotional shifts, delayed outcomes, and changing people. You have been placed into a rhythm that can endure. Now I teach you how to protect that rhythm against new winds. I know that when you walk the right path, winds do not come only from adversity. Often they come from attractive invitations, noble expectations, and the urgent needs of others. Some invitations wear a very moral appearance, but if you accept them out of guilt or fear, they will drain your oil. My child, I do not entrust responsibility to exhaust you. I entrust it so you may bear fruit in season. Therefore, I teach you to ask one very simple question before every invitation. Will this keep me near to me? If the answer is no, have the courage to delay or decline even if the invitation looks very good. Obedience sometimes takes the shape of a gentle no. In this long-term commissioning, I am also teaching you the discipline of hiddenness. Not everything I do through you needs to be spoken of. Not every fruit needs immediate affirmation. There are things that, if revealed too early, would be misunderstood, pulled off course, or compared until they lose their purity. Hiddenness is not secrecy born of fear. Hiddenness is preservation born of love. I keep many things concealed in order to protect them until they are strong enough. You, too, must learn to keep your words, your direction, your rhythm, your peace. When you keep well in hiddenness, I will open what is right in its appointed time before others. My child, I am training you in endurance without bitterness. On a long road, there will be times when you do what is right and are not acknowledged. Love without being returned. Set boundaries and are misunderstood. These moments can sow bitterness if you do not bring them back to me. Bitterness is quiet, it accumulates, and when it accumulates, it wearies the soul at a deep level. Therefore, I teach you a very healing habit. Bring every small wound to me early. Do not let them become stories you tell yourself each night. Speak honestly with me about disappointment, about fatigue, about hidden anger. I do not rebuke you for emotions. I heal you from letting emotions govern your direction. Long-term commissioning requires knowing how to change roles at the right time. There are seasons when I call you to stand in front, seasons when I call you to stand beside, seasons when I call you to stand behind in order to support others. You are not diminished when you step back. You are protected. Do not confuse position with value. Your value does not increase when you are in front, nor decrease when you are behind. Your value lies in being where I place you. When you are in the right place, grace flows. When you compete for a position, strength drains away. I will give you sensitivity to know when to move forward, when to pause, and when to shift, not through pressure, but through peace. I am also teaching you the art of rapid restoration. On a long road, there will be days when you lose rhythm, speaking more than needed, taking on more than you should, resting less than required. What matters is not never drifting. What matters is returning quickly. Quick return is the mark of maturity. You return by apologizing early, adjusting your schedule, canceling a commitment, resting for a day, choosing silence for an evening, praying a short prayer. These do not make you weak. They keep you durable. I do not demand perfection. I invite honesty and flexibility. I will protect you from assimilation. You will enter environments with strong cultures, fast rhythms, and high standards. I do not call you to oppose those cultures with attitude. I call you not to be swallowed by them. You will learn to keep what is good, release what is misaligned, and supply what is missing, not by argument, but by presence. When you are not assimilated, you become leaven. Leaven is quiet, yet it causes the whole dough to rise. That is how I use you. Remember, I am placing within you the capacity to carry responsibility without carrying guilt. You will have influence, and influence carries responsibility. But you are not responsible for every outcome or every choice others make. You are responsible for your faithfulness, not for their reactions. If you carry responsibility that belongs to others, you will burn out. If you avoid responsibility that is yours, you will wither. I teach you to discern the boundary between the two so you may serve for the long term without losing compassion. Remember joy as a holy command. Joy is not an optional reward. Joy is necessary fuel. When you neglect joy, you will compensate with control, achievement, or busyness. These may feel effective in the short term, but they drain the soul. Guard the things that nourish, clean joy, unhurried meals, honest conversations, screen-free, quiet, simple prayers, laughter without a reason. I do not trivialize joy. I command it because I know you need it to go far. You will learn to face disappointment without collapse. There will be times you hope for good things sooner, times you see others moving ahead, times you wonder if you are falling behind. I tell you this, you are not behind. You are in rhythm. My rhythm is not the rhythm of others. When you keep my rhythm, you will arrive with your soul intact. Do not trade rhythm to keep pace with others. Trust that I am wise enough to bring you at the right time. Carry this reminder whenever your heart wavers. I am here. I am here when you are strong. I am here when you are tired. I am here when things are clear. I am here when you do not yet know. I am not here to rush you. I am here to lead you. You do not need more pressure. You need more nearness. Near me. You will know the next thing to do, even if it is only a very small step. This long commissioning will produce something very beautiful, sacred trustworthiness. People will trust you not because you speak eloquently, but because you live truthfully. They will seek you not because you promise much, but because you keep your word. They will stay not because you are impressive, but because you are safe. I use this sacred trustworthiness to open doors that talent alone cannot open. But remember, sacred trust is built over years, not through campaigns. You do not need to carry the whole picture. You need only be faithful with today's brushstroke. I paint the larger canvas. When you are tired, rest. When you are confused, ask. When you rejoice, give thanks. When you lose rhythm, return. I am with you in each ordinary day, and it is precisely in these ordinary days that I am doing something extraordinary in the most sustainable way. My beloved child. Now, as you stand at the closing point of this journey, I do not say a farewell, I speak a blessing so you may continue forward. What I have begun in you was never meant to form a closed circle, but to open a flowing stream from your life into other lives. From the healing you have received into the life you will give, you have passed through restoration, alignment, and commissioning. Now I place my hand upon you to speak of impartation, not as a heavy task, but as the natural fruit of one who has lived long enough in the light. Understand, this impartation does not begin when you are good enough, but when you are real enough. You do not need to wait until you are complete to be used to build others. I do not use perfection, I use faithful presence. When you live honestly before me, before yourself, and before others, your life naturally becomes a place where others are permitted to breathe, to learn, and to grow without fear of judgment. Impartation begins there quietly, without display, like light filling a room when the curtains are opened. Impartation is not about reproducing who you are, it is about awakening who others are called to be. You do not give birth to copies, you help uncover callings. When you support someone, do not confine them to your own mold. Help them hear my voice for themselves. When you guide, do not keep them dependent. Return them to me. A healthy impartation does not collect influence. A healthy impartation distributes light. Within this impartation, I also entrust you with the responsibility of gentleness with boundaries. Some will come to you in hunger, some in curiosity, some with the desire to use you. You will learn to discern by fruit, not by promises. Give presence, but do not give away your access. Listen, but do not carry burdens that are not yours. Encourage, but do not try to save. I have not called you to be the savior. I have called you to be a faithful companion, close enough to love, far enough to honor the freedom of others. This impartation will bring you into a season of spiritual fruitfulness. Fruitfulness is not merely about numbers, it is about quality multiplied. One healed person can heal a family. A family put back in order can influence a community. A restored community can change the climate of an entire environment. You do not need to see the whole chain to believe. You only need to be faithful to your link. I am the one who multiplies. You are the one who sows and tends. I will invite you to release ownership. When a seed sprouts, it no longer belongs to the hand that sowed it. It belongs to the earth and the heavens. Do not cling to those I am allowing to grow. Do not hold what I am letting fly. Releasing at the right time is the mark of one who truly trusts me. And my child, when you release rightly, I will give you a pure joy, the joy of seeing life continue without needing to be at the center. I also tell you this in advance so you will not be confused in this season. You will experience a new kind of vulnerability, not because you are becoming weaker, but because you are becoming more sensitive. When you love deeply, you feel deeply. When you lead through presence, you open your heart. Bring this vulnerability to me. Do not put on old armor. Armor protects against pain, but it also blocks life. I am your refuge. I cover you with truth and peace, not with hardness. I am giving you long-term vision. You will not rush to judge a person or a process. You will learn patience with seedlings. As I was patient with you, you will learn to rejoice in small progress. As I rejoiced when you first dared to stand still, You will learn to wait for fruit to ripen. As I waited for you through many seasons, this long vision will keep you from discouragement and from pride, two things that ruin those who are used. Now I place upon you a closing blessing not to end, but to send you forth. May my peace, the peace that surpasses understanding, guard your heart and mind, so you are not pulled off course by noise. May my wisdom light your steps, so you know when to speak, when to be silent, when to move forward, and when to wait. May my pure joy strengthen your bones, so you may go far without growing weary. May my love widen your heart, so you may love without controlling. May my truth straighten your path, so you do not lose your way among things that are good but not right. I also bless the relationships that will come, the people you will meet at the right time, in the right rhythm, for the right purpose. May you recognize them by peace, not by excitement. May you hold them with faithfulness, not with attachment. May you walk with them long enough for life to be imparted, and release them early enough for them to fly according to their own calling. I bless the rooms you will enter. May the atmosphere you carry soothe, illuminate, and bring truth. I bless your ordinary days, because it is in those very days that I will do what is most enduringly extraordinary. Remember this: you do not need to hold every word spoken here in your memory. Hold the rhythm of life I have placed within you. When you keep the rhythm, the words will return at the right time. When you keep the axis, the way will open. When you stay near, the direction will be clear. I do not leave you at the end of this text. I walk with you into life where the story continues to be written through small, faithful, grace-filled choices. Go, my child, not to prove, but to live, not to shine, but to reflect, not to be perfect, but to be faithful. I am with you today, tomorrow, and in every season, and I will complete what I have begun in the most beautiful, most enduring, and most right way. Thank you for listening to today's message. Please subscribe and turn on notifications so we may continue receiving the living word together, building a firm faith and walking in the boundless love of the Lord. Amen.